Hello everyone, it's Crystal. Today is Friday, November 27th. It's 2020. Today is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Christmas is exactly 28 days from today. So I wanted to come on and do a quick video about making Christmas cards quickly. So I am using the 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper. It comes as 6x6. There are 12 designs, 12 sheets. Each sheet is double-sided, and the coordinating colors are basic black, cherry cobbler, garden green, real red, shaded spruce, and whisper white. So here are the designs. So here's a candy cane, and on the other side of the candy cane, some leaves here. You have some shaded spruce diagonal lines, and then looks like it's cherry cobbler with some whisper white. Here's another design with the shaded spruce, the cherry cobbler, real red maybe, and some diagonal plaid on this side, some holly on this sheet, and then we have some plaid on this side. This looks like real red. We have some deer, some holly, and some leaves in, looks like garden green. We have a real red design on this side. And we have some real red and whisper white here. And then we have some more Christmas plants on this side. We have garden green with some whisper white Christmas trees. And then we have a cherry cobbler design here. Plenty of candy canes, real red and whisper white. And then we have some garden green here, some swirls, cherry cobbler with whisper white. We have some garden green on this side. For this sheet, it looks like garden green. And then we have some holly and all red, real red and cherry cobbler. We have some stripes, subtle stripes, real red and cherry cobbler. Then we have our feathers again. Then we have some jingle bells and some real red and cherry cobbler for here. So each pack comes with 48 sheets. So you'll get 4 sets of this. This is the 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper. It's in the August to December mini catalog. It's on page 31. If you're interested, you can grab some to make your Christmas cards. So whenever I make cards that I know I need a lot of, many multiples, first I cut up all of my paper. So first I take here's my shaded spruce cardstock. I cut it at 5.5 by 8.5. And I also cut my real red, same dimensions. Here's my whisper white, same dimensions. My preference for card bases is this dimension, and I like to fold the flap down so that it's in landscape mode. But sometimes, you know, like for instance with this candy cane paper, this paper has a directional print. So ideally, you want your card to be facing the same direction as the candy canes. So with that in mind, I also cut some of my card bases that are 4.25 by 11. So I have a few here, shaded spruce, real red, and some whisper white. So I cut my card bases. I know because I look at the back of the package for the Designer Series paper. This tells me the coordinating colors: basic black, cherry cobbler, garden green, real red, Shaded Spruce, and Whisper White. So I get out my cardstock first, which I just showed you, and I cut it. Then I get out my ink pads. So I don't have a basic black ink pad, but I do have the Memento Tuxedo Black. Stampin' Up! Does sell this ink pad. I keep it upside down so that the ink will flow to the top of the ink pad. So that's how I store it. So here's Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, Real Red, Shaded Spruce, and then Whisper White. So after I take out my paper, I take out my stamp pads so that I'll have everything at my disposal. And then for this particular video, I want to highlight the 'Tis the Season Designer Series paper, and it comes by 6 by 6. So I want to show you how I cut this paper. Here's a sample we're going to cut so that we could get these 3 pieces. And there should be little to no waste depending on how you use the pieces. So it's a 6 by 6. I cut this piece first, this slim piece. This is 3/4 of an inch by 6. So I cut this at 5 1/4 because my card bases are, once they're folded, they'll be 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So I cut this at 5 1/4. So this gives me this slim piece right here. So I put it in that pile. So I just cut off that slim piece from here. So I rotate it 90 degrees, and then I go down to 4. So this is 5 1/4 by 4. This can fit on the front of a standard A2 card base. So I put that in this pile. This piece is 2 by 6. This will fit on a gatefold card, and I'm going to show you an example of a gatefold card. So, and as I said previously, there are 48 pieces of Designer Series paper in this pack of 6 by 6. So you'll have 4 pieces of each sheet. So you can do multiples of this if you want to mix and match. You could do that as well. So for the cards I'm going to show you, we're not actually going to assemble a card today, but for the card I'm going to show you, the cards I'm going to show you, I want to show you the stamp sets I use. First I used Itty Bitty Christmas. There are 18 stamps in here. The stamps are the red rubber stamps. Red rubber stamps originally come as one big rectangle, and then you have to pull them apart, put the labels on, etc. So 18 Itty Bitty Christmas. We have Very Merry, Believe, Lots of Love at Christmas, To, From, No Peeking Till Christmas, Bless Christmas Wishes, Have a Sugar Sprinkled Season, From Our House to Yours, Celebrate the Season, Season's Greetings, Thinking of You at Christmas, Oh What Yum, Peace and Happiness, Happy Holidays, Christmas Cheer, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, Joy to the World. I bought this because I know I will probably do somewhere between 60 and 70 Christmas cards, and I wanted to have some variety just so I don't get bored during the creative process. So that's the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. We're going to focus on this. And when I do mass production, I take half a sheet of cardstock like this. I kept this together so I could show you. This is Shaded Spruce. So I took the Joy to the World, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and Peace and Happiness. So I take those, and then I have some stitch dies. I have quite a few stitch dies, but my preference is always to have stitch dies because I like the texture. So I take my dies and I just place them randomly. Like Joy to the World is small, so I would take these dies are from the Stitch So Sweetly die set. So I would take this die, this is the second from the smallest, and I would just put it on the paper. I would take and then run it through my die cutting machine. But since I like to do multiples on a page, I would maybe put that one there. And then this one, this die set is Hippo and Friends. It's in the annual catalog. There are more to the dies that actually go with the Hippo stamp set, but the dies that are hippo shaped and lamb shape are with the stamp set. But these also are in the set. There are a lot of dies in that set. But since this can be used with any stamp set, I kept these separate, but I labeled them so I know where they're from. So I could put that there. And whatever fits on the sheet, I would run it through my die cutting machine, take it out, and do it again. So that I'll get, and once I take out my different sentiments after I've cut them, I just keep them in this little cup here. Like I've done this earlier with the cards I made. Sentiments, Hippo Happiness, Hippo and Friends. So that's what I did earlier. So that's how I cut, I stamp, and then I do die cutting. That's my order. So I also stamped the end. So these sentiments would go on the front of my card more than likely, or my project. Then I stamped the inside of my cards. So I have this orientation. That's the next stamp set we're going to look at. And then I do this orientation. And then, so I do both orientations so that I can just, when it's time to assemble the cards, I can just mix and match and everything is here. I like all of the sentiments in the stamp set, so I don't have to worry about, do I like this? Do I not like this? I stamp whatever I like. So this stamp set we're going to show, this came from a stamp set called Ornamental Envelopes. So this is too big for a regular envelope, a standard A2 size envelope, but I like this for the inside of a card, so I put that there. So, and sometimes for this particular page, these layers would be on the inside of my card. So if I have any of these slim DSP sheets, strips left over, I would put it on the bottom. Or when all my cards are done, I'm a quilter, so I may take some of these sheets, put it on a card. For example, take some of these, maybe stack them here as a decoration. Just that's one reason why I like to cut everything, because when an idea comes to you, you need to be ready to execute. So maybe I'll take something like this and adhere them, and maybe I'll do some die cutting. Maybe I'll take this and just die cut it once I have everything adhered, and just that'll be a new element, a new embellishment for it. So that's a thought. So that's one reason why I always advocate to cut first, stamp first, just do a whole lot. This is probably 15 sheets of DSP I cut, and I don't know how many of these I have, but I always keep a bunch of layers just ready for whenever an idea hits me, because it would be bad if you have an idea and then you have to do all this cutting before you can execute. So I can just grab a piece of paper, start stamping, start adhering, see what I'm going to do. So the next stamp set I just want to talk about, I am going to do it's called Snowflake Wishes. There are 17 stamps, and I bought the bundle, so I have the dies as well. I keep my dies on this magnetic sheet. I'm going to do a full-fledged tutorial on this stamp set, but I wanted to talk about it because I use this. This is easier. I use these snowflakes. So I wanted to show you these snowflakes, and I also wanted to highlight that this stamp set has Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts on December 11th, I believe. So if you are in the mood to make some Hanukkah cards, if you have people in your life who celebrate Hanukkah, you want to make them some cards, this has Happy Hanukkah as an option. There are 17 stamp sets in this. There are 17 stamps in this stamp set, and I will do some projects, more projects with this stamp set in the coming weeks. But I just wanted to highlight the Happy Hanukkah, and I did play around with the snowflakes and the Whisper White. When you buy the Whisper White stamp pad, it comes empty, and it comes with a refill so that you can add it comes with this refill. These two come together when you buy it initially, because the stamp pad is empty, it's blank. So these two come together, so you put the refill on the pad, make sure it's in there pretty well, and so you get this chalky look once you stamp. These are photopolymer stamps. I put the snowflake, this is what I used, and then I just did some random stamping just to see what effect it would give. And I like the Whisper White. This is actually my first time using the Whisper White. I just ordered it, just received it recently. So just something to keep in mind when you do if you want to give the impression of snow on your cardstock, Whisper White ink is a great way to do it. So, and Happy Hanukkah, keep that in mind as well. So, ornamental envelopes. If you've been following this channel, you know that when I do cards, I do my envelopes. I think you should do the outside of the card, you should decorate the inside of the card, and you should decorate your envelopes. I mean, when you give the card to someone, more than likely you're giving them the card in an envelope. So this is the stamp set I used. Has 10 stamps in it, and I actually have the bundle, but I didn't cut anything out. This stamp right here, these dies actually go with this. So I may use that in a project in the future, but right now I just wanted to highlight the envelopes, because when you're doing Christmas cards to go in the mail, it's nice to give a decorated envelope when you mail your Christmas cards out. Today is November 27th. I usually mail my cards the day after Thanksgiving. I probably will mail them sometime this weekend, but I've already got a jump start on it, on my cards. So there are 10 stamps in here. I used 7 of them. These are just stained from using the Real Red, but they work fine. So this is a thought for when you're doing your Christmas cards. And right here, this is snow, looks like snow, and this gives me the impression of winter. So even after Christmas is over, if you send cards out in the winter, you can use these two. And these are just dots, so you can use them any time of the year. And these are flowers, so you could theoretically use these in the spring. So you can use this more than just for Christmas. And these ornamental envelope stamp set is in the August to December mini catalog. It's on page 40. So, check that out. I do the whole package. And outside of the card, inside of the card, and envelopes. So I'll just show you what I used. Let me get these out of the way. So this is my first envelope. There's a stamp, and then I did the little vines on the flap. This is in the corner. I'm left-handed, so most of the time I stamp on the left side. There's the vines again. Here are the little flowers. They can be in any color. And then the vines. And then here's the ornament with the vines. And that color is Shaded Spruce. So, and I also did those same flowers with the circles. This is Real Red. This design with the circles, Real Red. My ornament with the circles, also in Real Red. And finally, this corner piece. And this would be good for the inside of a card. All of the small ones would be good for the inside of a card, just as one to decorate one of the layers, and then the circle. So here are our 3 cards. We're not actually going to assemble a card, but I wanted to show you some of the cards I made after I got all of my pieces together. This is the first card I made. This has one of these base. This is a Shaded Spruce card base, 5.5 by 8.5. And one of these card bases that I showed you how to cut. So that's here. That's that same size. This right here, Lots of Love at Christmas. This is from the stamp set, the first stamp set I showed you. The Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. And one of the dies, this is one. Nope, it's not that one. This is the from Hippo and Friends die set. This is the die I used to cut that shape. And then these are Wonderful Gems. They are in the August to December mini catalog. They come in sheets of 100. So I have 3 of, well, 2.5 now. This is halfway done, but 2.5 of these, and I'm going to use them for my Christmas cards. And originally, when I was laying out the front of the card, I didn't have this sheet, but this strip here, I needed something else just to break up the candy cane. So I got this strip ready for inside, outside of the card. So it helps to have these things laid out so that you can design quickly. And here's the inside of the card. One of my layers that I stamped, and then another one of these strips that was left over. Well, I cut first. So that's a quick card. It probably took less than 5 minutes to assemble this card once I decided what pieces I wanted to use. And then my second card is a little bit more elaborate, but it uses these pieces right here. This is a gatefold card. It's still the 5.5 by 8.5 card base, but I scored it at 2 1/4. Yes, scored it at, no, 4 1/4. I scored it at 2 1/8, and then I turned it around and scored it at 2 1/8. So, let me just show that to you. I just took a regular card base. Here's my Simply Scored tool. And this is scored at 4 1/4, but I'm not going to actually score it, but I want to show you what I did. I took it 2 1/8, scored it, flipped it, went to 2 1/8, scored it. So when you're scoring for a gatefold, this is the orientation of the paper on the scoring tool. 2 1/8, score, flip it, 2 1/8, score. The reason I do 2 1/8 because this is 4 1/4. Half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8. So that's the math on that. Just wanted to show you that. So I did that scoring, and since this flap right here is 2 1/8. This is 2 inches by 4. So this fits perfectly. And you have plenty of sheets in here that you can have matching gates, matching DSP on your gatefold card. So this is a Whisper White band. I just cut it 2, I believe, no, 1.5, 1.5 by 9, just so there's some overlap in the back. This ribbon comes from the Wonder of the Season ribbon combo pack. There's another ribbon in this combo pack as well. I didn't use that. So is this garden green, maybe? Shaded spruce, looks more like shaded spruce ribbon. This ribbon is 1 inch wide. This is in the August to December mini catalog. It's on page 31. And it comes in a pack, a set with a second, more like a gold twine kind of ribbon. And then this is one of my sentiments that I cut out earlier using the small dies that I showed you. I used this one from Stitch So Sweetly. That is this die right here. So this is called the belly band. So this is my belly band. Once again, the belly band is 1.5 by 9. And then I wrapped it around the envelope, wrapped it around the card, and then I just adhered it shut. Not too tight so that you can, get it on and off. So that's why the overlap is not tight. It's just snug. And this is one of the sentiments from Itty Bitty Christmas, Joy to the World. So the gatefold card is 5.5 by 8.5. We scored it at 2 1/8. Flipped it, scored it at 2 1/8, and these are 2 by 4. Those are left over from our card. And this is the inside of our card. One of our layers. Here's some DSP from this pile right there. And this is cut at 4. So that's another quick card you can do. You would have to know that you want to do a DSP, do a gatefold card before you score it. Like I do a lot of scoring at the 4 1/4 inch line for it. So I had to, when I decided to do a gatefold card, I had to cut this specifically because I had already scored all of my cardstock to do a traditional folded card. So here's the back of the card, the back of the belly band. Here's my ribbon on top of the actual belly band. So I don't know if this will go in the mail without extra postage. It's not super thick, but this is more likely going to be a card that I would give to someone. And our final card is Celebrate the Season. It has these ornaments from the Ornamental Envelopes stamp set. And I use the wonderful gems here. I use the ones that are like off-white and with the gold right here in those places. So the white cardstock is 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4. And then there's some shaded spruce. It's a very small margin here. The shaded spruce is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I had to get into the eighths. So I rarely get into 1/8 and 1/16, but sometimes I like to have layers, so sometimes I really have to get into the fractions. So Celebrate the Season is from the Itty Bitty Christmas, and then I made this an easel card. Here's one of the sentiments I cut out with the die cut. I used this one. I used this die. It's from Hippo and Friends die set. And there's the Itty Bitty Christmas. This is Ornamental Envelopes. So it's an easel card, so the recipient of that card can display it like that. And so there's space if you want to write something in the card, and here's space for you to sign your name. But this holds the card up. So those are just 3 quick cards I made using the method I showed you about just cutting your cardstock. Cut your cardstock in bulk. Cut your DSP. Once again, first thing you cut off is this, 3/4 of an inch. This is we start off with 6x6 cards, a DSP. That's the first thing. This is 3/4 of an inch, and then that'll give you this, and then you cut this. This is 5 1/4 by 4, and then you'll have this left over, and you can use this DSP for gatefold cards. You can also cut it smaller to do other projects, but just to maximize your DSP, that's an idea that I had. So today is Friday, November 27th. The month is almost over. If you make a purchase, if you want to buy any of the items that are featured in this video, please visit interwovencreationsbycrystal.com/store if you want to, and you'll learn about how to use the November 2020 host code. The host code is F like Frank, H like Harry, 2, 3, Z like Zebra, N like Nancy, 7, and S like Sam. If you go to interwovencreationsbycrystal.com/store, the process for how to use the host code is there. The links for all of the items I used in this video are below. Thank you for watching. Happy crafting, and I will see you in the next one.